Weak street fighter fought against the stronger fighter to take his brother's revenge. Hello and welcome everyone. Today, we're gonna recap fighting Chinese movie called Du Chi or The Fighter in English. The movie begins with a Chinese fighter called Shaobei. While the crowd was too proud of him, Shaobei is the first ever Chinese fighter to reach that far at the worldwide tournament. But his opponent wasn't anyone. He is the Crocodile, an American brutal fighter who's willing to destroy Shaobei. Crocodile was an expert fighter who has a record of 19 winnings out of 20, and for him, Shaobei was such a newcomer who has no experience. The game finally began, and Crocodile was attacking Shaobei brutally. Surprisingly, Shaobei was only defending and not even punishing Crocodile. It was definitely a one-side game. After Shaobei was cornered and only trying to save his face, he finally decided to fight. Shaobei showed how great fighter he is and tried to force Crocodile to surrender, but his force wasn't enough to do it, and Crocodile could survive. Later in the game, Shaobei continued his weird strategy by only defending until Crocodile punched him and Shaobei took it in his face. Then Shaobei fell to the ground, losing his game to Crocodile. The next day, shockingly, media announced the death of Shaobei after suffering serious injuries due to crocodile attacks, and that was a sad ending for this great fighter. Days after this tragedy, Dan, the former representative to the Chinese team, went to attend a meeting at MMA organization where the American team representative were also there. They started to make fun of Dan, cause their fighter killed hers, and now she can't stand for any fighter again. They also make fun of her for being a woman in an industry which should be only for men. But Dan could stand for herself and told the organization that she will be ready in the next tournament. The organization accepted this offer, but with only one condition. If she Chinese team loses again, they will be banned from the organization and will not participate anymore at any tournament. Dan accepted the challenge, even though she didn't even know who will be her fighter, and she told that to the rest of her team. After a good thinking, Dan remembered Shaobei. He told her that his best successor is his younger brother Shannon. Shaobei trained with Shannon for years until Shaobei finally could make it to the worldwide tournament. Once Shannon knew that he was surprised but happy that his brother can finally chase his dream. Shaobei was only participating to make his brother proud and told his Shannon if he lost, he must continue after him and participate to make their family proud. Dan decided to check on Shannon. That's why she went to the gym, where all the fighters train. She met the coach, who already knew her, and took her on tour to the gym, telling her to feel free to choose any of his fighters. But Dan only focused on Shannon training. He was trying with a lot of anger, but unfortunately with no experience. Later, Dan went to attend a press conference, and everybody had the same question. Who will be the new Chinese fighter? Dan couldn't answer this. She wasn't sure yet. That's why her boss answered, saying they are looking for another fighter, and once they find him, they will announce it. The major fighter back then was an experienced fighter called Zoniger. Anyone wanna play at fighter level should beat Zoniger first. Days later, a friendly tournament started. Zoniger was there, and everybody was waiting for the new organization fighter. And suddenly, he entered, and he was Shannon. Shannon had never participated at any tournament before. That's why he wasn't familiar with the crowd, nor the lighting neither. He was having bad time before even reaching the ring. Once he is there, his coach warned him, cause Zoniger is an experienced fighter with a strong punishes. The game finally started. Zoniger dominated the game easily, while Shannon was still having problems with lightning and crowd, till Zoniger knocked him off, winning the game effortlessly. Shannon went back to restrooms, feeling it's his fault and willing not to play again. But then entered the room, giving Shannon an enthusiastic sermon, telling him if he wanna play against Crocodile and takes revenge for his brother, he must train and win the Chinese qualifications. Only when he will be able to participate in the worldwide tournament and fight against Crocodile. Shannon remembered his brother and decided to man up and get his revenge. Dan has a plan for him and took him to Junkyard Jungle, a place full of street and axe fighter. Once Shannon is there, he saw a couple of old fighters, thinking he is stronger than them. But a young boy coming out of nowhere and kicked Shannon on his single kick, making him unable to walk. Dan took him to her place and telling him if he wanna be a champ, he has to start from here. Shannon started to train with Dan, who were a good coach. Once a day, while Shannon was watching TV, reporters announced that Crocodile has lost his fighting license, which means he will not be in the tournament. That was shocking news to Shannon. He only wanna play to beat Crocodile, but Dan told him that Crocodile will participate at the qualifications, means that Shannon still has his opportunity. Shannon took his training seriously and could reach a good levels of strength. Feeling he's now ready, Shannon took Dan to the lake and get some relax. But a real group of crocodiles started to attack him. Once Dan saw this, she cut her hand to attract crocodiles to her blood, thinking Shannon is weak and not ready to such fights. But Shannon surprised her, fighting Crocodile with all his power till beat it. Dan took Shannon after to heal his wounds, but Shannon had lots of questions. Why Dan is strong? And why is she also familiar with such weird place? Dan explained herself to Shannon. She was raised in this jungle after she was bought as a slave. She kept training every single day till she could start fighting. As a kid, she forced to fight in the ring, while businessmen were beating on fighters. That was her life till she was 18. Just then, she decided to escape from the jungle, went to America where she got a new chance and built her career with the organization. Since then, she started to poach fighters, put them on the ring, and get money from the process. After she told her story, she has good news to Shannon. A new qualifications will start soon in China. He could win it unless he will not participate in the worldwide competition. But firstly, he has to fight his way through the jungle. And he was so focused and could beat them all easily. Later Dan took him to new qualifications, where all the fighters are professionals and familiar with competition. Shannon could win his first match on no time. Without a break, he got involved in the next fight. At the beginning, he couldn't fight till Dan told him what to do. Only then he could win. The next game was too different. His opponent called himself Mad Dog. He entered the ring with alcohol bottle and seemed so mad. He used a very weird technique, started to beat and punishing randomly. But finally, Shannon could survive till he saw a strange man kidnapping Dan. So he finishes Mad Dog and went to find Dan, but she was disappeared. While Shannon was searching, a young girl told him she knew where Dan is, so he went with her. At the same time, Dan was at her kidnapper's place, who is basically the man who owned her in the past and forced her to fight. He started to tease Dan again and tries to harass her, but suddenly Shannon and his friend arrive and break through the walls, making huge chaos in the place. Shannon started to fight the soldiers while Dan could unleash himself. Dan and Shannon fought together against soldiers till they all could escape from the place, bombing the place while running away. But the soldiers were so keen to kill them, so they started to chase Shannon's car. Dan started to shoot them while Shannon hitting anyone near to the car till Dan finished her bullets. So Shannon decided to finish the fight himself by jumping over soldiers' car and fighting them alone. When Shannon falls off one car, Dan helped him, and they both kill all of the soldiers. After this huge battle, Dan and his friend went with Dan to a quiet place where they started to celebrate, and the girl told them that her name is JK. She is also from the same jungle. She was watching Dan when she was young, and Dan inspired her so much. After a friendly speech, Dan told JK that they should separate. Despite JK's disappointment, she accepted. Dan later took Shannon with her, and that was the time for competitions. MMA competitions this year will be different. It's designed to be more competitive. All of the competitors will be divided into two groups, 5 fighters per each group. Crocodile will be on the top of the group, and Shannon will be in the other one. The competition started with a game between Crocodile and another Chinese fighter. Just before the first game started, the referee announced that Crocodile's opponent retreated without even playing, meaning that Crocodile qualifies without even playing. On the other hand, Shannon was getting ready for this first game, waiting for his first overt official game in the competition. He was surprised for knowing his opponent is Zanagar again. The bad history between both of them make everybody think it's an easy win for Zanagar. Zonogar entered the place showing off. Even the reporters were talking about their last game. Everyone was waiting for Shannon to lose again easily. Zonogar entered the ring, willing to finish Shannon, but out of nowhere, Shannon gave him a quick and strong kick, made him fall to the ground. And just like that, Shannon won his first game, with Dan at his corner giving him the instructions. After the game, everybody knew that Shannon is not here for fun. He has a mission and it's not willing to fail. Next that day, it was Crocodile's turn to play, this time against a professional boxer. As usual, the boxers didn't play the game. The referee announced that the boxer failed the doping test, and that means Crocodile will qualify again, effortlessly, without even going to the ring. Poor Shannon had another match in his way. This time, his opponent is Liu King, fast and experienced fighter. That's why Dan was worried and kept giving Shannon instructions to keep focus and win this game. Shannon started his second game despite the strength of luck. He could dominate him and force him to surrender. Between the crowd, Michelle was there, the boss of Crocodile team. He started to worry about that happened. Shannon was strong. No one can deny it. The next game would be Crocodile's game. Not surprised, his opponent surrendered. So Shannon again has to play. And this time against Liu King. So it's obvious. His powers are in his leg. Dan warned Shannon to focus, and he started his third game in a row. Despite Liu King's speed and power, Shannon could also win, increasing Michelle's worries. When other businessmen were worried, Michelle assured them that everything is under control and there is no need to panic. He was sure that he can still handle Shannon. The final game of Shannon's group would be the hardest. His opponent is King Kong, the mighty fighter, who win any game in the first round. Before the game, Dan realized that his fighter is exhausted, and against a giant like King Kong, he might lose easily. So she told him to do his best, and no one is waiting him to win. Dan said that to release any pressure Shannon can feel. Unlike any other game, Dan didn't know what is Kong's weakness points, so she told Shannon to keep defending and save his anger to right time. The first round started. King Kong was only attacking, not fearing of Shannon's power. At the beginning, Shannon did exactly what Dan told him, but when he kept defending, he underestimates Kong's power, thinking he also can attack him. Shannon started to punch Kong back. That wasn't the smartest move, cause it gave Kong its time to attack even harder. He knocked Shannon down, kept punishing him with all his power, finally tries to force Shannon to surrender, but Shannon kept fighting back, handling the pain, till he could survive escape. The game go on. This time Shannon was so sure that he has to obey Dan's instructions and only defend against Kong, even though he couldn't handle Kong's punches and fell again to the ground without any defense. This time Kong tries his best to make Shannon surrender. He kept squeezing him. Shannon didn't want to lose, no matter what, but Shannon couldn't afford the pain. He was about to faint and lose the whole game. Fortunately, the bell rings, and he was saved the last chance. Nobody even believes it. Shannon, even if he was underdog, but manages to survive. In the break, Kong's coach was so angry. He asked Kong how he couldn't finish such amateur fighter like Shannon, but Kong knew how strong Shannon is. Then also tried to support Shannon, telling him she finally found Kong's weakness point. At his last punch, he always bounces back. This is the perfect chance for him. The only problem is, how can Shannon stand again against Kong? The second round started. Shannon tries his best to stay focused, defending against Kong. Once he pounces back, Shannon surprised him with a strong punch, and for the first time, Kong fell to the ground, and everybody started to believe again in Shannon. Even Shannon believes in his chance and attack Kong again, but Kong could stand again and started to attack. This game Shannon was ready, and once Kong's body bounces back, he punishes Kong's stripes as strong as he can. During the rest of the game, Shannon kept targeting Kong's stripes until Kong fell to the ground again, but this time he couldn't fight back. Shannon took the advantage and kept punishing him in the face without showing any mercy. When the referee saw what happened, he decided to finish the game, announcing Shannon to be the winner. And just like that, Shannon qualifies to the final and against the Crocodile. No one believes what happened. Even reporters say that it's a miracle. No one could ever beat Kong. At the same time, everyone was beating on Crocodile started to panic. They blamed Michelle for their potential lose, accusing him of misleading them, as he was sure that Kong would definitely win. The next day was Shannon's big day. Every channel was talking about him, and his revenge was Crocodile. Shannon was at his room, making himself ready for the game. When Dan entered the room, she saw him confident, telling her that he will beat the whole out Crocodile, and finally get his brother revenge. But Dan shocked him when she asked him not to play the game and let Crocodile win. Shannon couldn't understand anything. At the beginning, Dan told him that he's not ready for Crocodile and will surely lose. So the best way is not playing the game and not embarrasses himself again. Shannon didn't buy it and told her that is not the only reason. So Dan decided to tell him another lie. She told him that Michelle is very powerful. So when she started her own business and made her career with her own company, he sent his people to check on it and found a couple of gaps on the company's contract. So he threatened her. If Crocodile will not win, he will destroy her whole business. But even this lie, Shannon couldn't buy it, telling her that he will play. No matter, he will play and win. Dan didn't like his attitude and told him he's weak, and without her instructions, he couldn't win a single game. The real story was different. Dan wanted to gain lots of money, so she made a deal with Michelle. She will bring him a new fighter, train him well, then put him in a major tournament. Once the American media see Shannon, everyone will beat on